One, um, I am excited to be here on Half a Build Institute, and congratulations to Mark S. Lee, the Lead Group, Fifth Third for sponsoring. I believe this is the 10th year, Mark.
10 years.
So excited to be here.
You and I started, we were babies together.
Excited to be here today. Build Institute, we are a 501c3 nonprofit that has been in existence since 2012, helping businesses launch their ideas in the marketplace and helping businesses grow. We have a national standard curriculum. Many Build grad are in here, I see, so I'm in good company, who've taken advantage of our curriculum. We have a capital ladder with different capital, whether from grants or 3% interest loans, subject matter experts, as well as a space headquartered right here in the ballpark as well. We're right on Trumbull on the other side, where there's other 3 Build grads. So we care deeply about helping you launch your ideas and scale. And I want to talk about embracing change and why that's important and where we are key in that solution. I love that we always start with data in the workshop. Data is what drives what we do. It drives the solutions that we have created for entrepreneurs because it's the feedback that we got. The data also with the lower 1/3 can seem down and depressing, but where there are challenges is always an opportunity. And in looking at things from a business perspective on what can we do differently, where do we double down, where are we lean, what do we stop doing? Those type of solutions and strategies are an opportunity for your business to pivot, to reinvent yourselves, to be ready for more, and to do hiring. And we're the ones who are your team and your thought partners to help you with strategy on what's next, on how do you embrace this change, which can feel like a pain point until you have the right team around you to help think through what makes sense for your business, and that's what we're great at.
Nimaj, same question, 2 or 3 minutes, introduce the organization again, and talk about the importance of embracing change and why it's important for people to begin to embrace change.
All right, good morning, everybody. All right, so Detroit Development Fund, it's easy to talk about DDF. I have really loved this organization. So Detroit Development Fund, being a community development financial institution, CDFI, we've been in the community since 1995, so over 25 years, working diligently and intentionally to invest in our communities within the city. So we do this through lending to small business owners and to entrepreneurs. So with that being said, we've been able to deploy over 92 million since then, but most impressively, the work is done intentionally for BIPOC entrepreneurs. 50% of the loans that we've done through the Entrepreneur of Color Fund since 2015 have been to women-owned businesses, which is a great representation of the business landscape here. Definitely. In addition to that, working in our communities in Detroit, and our microloan fund extends to Hamtramck and Highland Park. So DDF, embracing change and moving forward, so many of you know, we've been in the community for some time, but actually many of you may recognize I'm a new face to DDF. Our new colleague, Shonda, our business development officer.
Stand up, Shonda.
Stand up, Shonda. Yeah.
All right.
So just strategically adding new roles and new perspective and new positions and things to the team and just rounding out, the just great base that, the organization has had to work with, continuing for looking for new opportunities and ways to reach the community and continue our legacy. So that's a snapshot of what we've been able to do.
And I would be remiss if we did not acknowledge, because I do it because I love him to death. I call him the mayor of Detroit Small Business, Mr. Ray Waters.
Yes.
You all know Ray. Awesome, he's a legend. Juliana Perry, same 2 or 3 minutes about Fifth Third Bank, of course, commitment to embracing change. Why is it important to the organization and to entrepreneurs?
Okay. Good morning again. I am so excited to be here for the 10th year.
Yeah.
I've been here since the beginning, representing Fifth Third Bank as part of our resources for the entrepreneurs in our community. So again, Juliana Perry, Relationship Manager and Vice President. with Fifth Third Bank, where we do provide services from wealth management all the way to helping entrepreneurs, which is, again, one of my passions because, like our president, Dave Jerdot, I too came from an entrepreneurial background. So I understand that. Coming from Chicago, it's a little different, but really the same platform. And I think it's very important that we understand what's going on in not only our communities, but in our businesses. And so, again, I'm here to help, as well as our organization. The teams that we have together to grow are sitting right here. You know, we often refer to it as a ladder of financing. And essentially, we have the community support, we have the city support, and we have the financial service organizations here to provide both the technical experience as well as the specific lending needs that might have you looking for capital. So when we talk about capital, what does that mean? Do you understand what capital can do for you? Do you understand the differences in what is a loan to build a project like this facility we're in, or to purchase inventory? So we want to help you understand that, and I think that's very important. So how does change filter into that? I'll tell you a quick story. My career started over 35 years ago here in Detroit for another institution. They were pretty successful, but ultimately they saw some things on the horizon economically that required them to make specific changes. And because they knew who they were as an organization, they had their entire staff have a reading assignment, and it was called Who Moved My Cheese? So understand that. And it basically talks about mice who are looking for their cheese. But what we're doing here in the community, we're looking for capital. We're looking for success for our own businesses. So as things around us, as variables change, we need to understand those changes and keep moving toward it. So with that, I'll pause and let our moderator take it over.
Well, let's talk about innovation and change and adaptability. We hate change. I read that book, and that book was awesome. You get a chance to read it. What is it? Who Moved My Cheese?
Who Moved My Cheese?
Who Moved My Cheese? That was like 15 years ago. But you know, the concept is, if you ever walk into, I'm also a professor, my students sit in the exact same seat every class. So one semester, I tricked them, and I moved them to different seats. They felt lost. That's the idea. Who moved my cheese? We don't like change. So let's talk about the idea of change, Regina and Campbell, and talk about how does Build Institute foster that change and adaptability to make people more comfortable as we begin to try different things.
Change. Well, I'm going to say I'm probably one of few, and I welcome you raising your hand, who love change. I thrive in change. It is where innovation meets opportunity. And so we embrace it. Even though it can be uncomfortable, there's so many unknowns, but coming together, having the right team, right employees around you to help you think through what you can do in the next 30 days to 90 days is a powerful time. And when we work under sometimes those pressures is between these rocks and higher places, I'm creating diamonds. And many of us as women-owned entrepreneurs, I'm an entrepreneur, BIPOC, it's our lived and worked experience. And so leveraging your lived and work experiences, reflecting on moments in our business where there was a change that was necessary, whether you lost a contract, which is probably very key because that's where cash flow can be impacted. You've got to take the time to bring your team, or even us that build some strategies around you with what can you do. Capital is, sometimes people see it as a bad word, but sometimes capital is what's necessary to grow. We actually have a capital education class that talks about what capital is, the different types of debt, equity, so that entrepreneurs can be educated on where they are in the pipeline of their business and what's the best capital for them. So again, seize the opportunity, lean into organizations and people who care and who have done the work to help you get to that next level. We've all been through some challenging times. I think 2008, we can talk about some economic downturn, and just sharing on a personal note, my husband had been with his company for 10 years. I was working in the economic development sector, had a 4-year-old, and had just had my youngest, who is now 16. He lost his job. We had to downsize significantly from our first home. But in that, we leaned in on the resources and the talent around us to figure out, well, how do we move ahead? I say all that to say the data is depressing, and primarily because if we look at small business, 77% of businesses across our nation are micro-entrepreneurs. Additionally, solopreneurs, which means one entrepreneur, that's 35% of most communities. But in that, there's opportunity to help you grow by use of capital. Help us if you need to hire, we can help you do that. So embrace change, lean in. That's what I do. I know best to thrive in chaos and bring light. So that's my insight.
And Nimaj, let's continue the conversation focused on the importance of collaboration and communication. Kind of piggyback on what Regina and Campbell was talking about as it relates to change, but talk about the importance of collaborating and communication. You know, communication, real quick before you answer that question, I'm gonna say this. On any given day, does anybody know the average attention span of an adult? Give me a number, please. 7 seconds is exactly right. The average attention span of a goldfish is 8 seconds. So if you ever get a goldfish, he swims up to the fish bowl and stares for 7 seconds. How many on any given day, from the time that you get up in the morning until the time you go to bed at night, how many messages are you hitting any given day? Take a guess. 100, what else? 10,000 messages. 10,000 messages. So from the time that you get up in the morning until you go to bed at night, you're hit with 10,000 messages a day. And our attention span is less than 7 seconds. So we're getting inundated. And what do? We zone out. So Nimaj, you get that information. Talk about communication and collaboration when it comes to making change.
Right. So the first thing with collaboration is understanding that you can't do it by yourself. And that's the reason for it. And for example, with Detroit Development Fund, you'll commonly see us use our tagline, which we believe in helping you get there, helping our business owners get there, helping our community get there, which helps our families get there. So it's a chain reaction. So to be able to do that, it involves collaboration. It involves collaboration at the organizational level within ourselves as a team. It involves collaboration in the community with us and our partnerships and engagements with different organizations and groups who are all working through or for the same mission. So collaboration is the piece that ties everything together to be able to continue to move the mission forward and grow and change.
But yet, Juliana, you work in a bigger organization as opposed to small organizations as an entrepreneur. And I worked in corporate for 25 plus years, almost 30 years. I know I don't look that old.
I know, that's right. You can't be
Hey. But anyway, it was a challenge to communicate internally. So talk about from a larger organization's perspective, the collaboration, the communication, yet its impact on changing when you're trying to make change inside Fifth Third.
Well, I'll tell you, the story I told you before about the organization where we were told to read that book. I'm glad I did, because not only did it help me survive that change that was going on there, but Fifth Third is an organization that believes in change and innovation. And they do it often because ultimately their goal is to service our customers with sustainability and focus on that customer and the right services. So our organization has implemented several tools to help us communicate better as an organization. We have not only the traditional Outlook system, but we also have a system, and I'm going to just have a brain freeze here, but it literally allows us, it's Teams, sorry. So we changed from during COVID time where we used one system for collaboration, for conference calling, but then Teams became the go-to system for those conference calls and video calls. We also include that as part of our collaboration teams when we have special services that we're implementing for clients. And so what that really has helped us do is be more focused, have quicker conversations, and I can see where those 10,000 messages come from. What does it also do to us? It requires us to be in the moment and focus and really prioritize what's important. And I think that's really important for small business owners to do. Have a plan, prioritize, and execute.
Yeah, but Regina, I'm not the size of Fifth Third. I don't have a large organization. I'm a solopreneur. Or I may be working with 3 or 4 people. And I've been successful, so why do I need to change? Why do I need to change? I mean, I'm making money, I'm in the black, and so why should I change?
That's a great question, Mark. What I will say is every year, every quarter, every business should be pulling up your business plan, looking at your P&L, and allowing that to guide your business, right? The importance of taking time to look in your business is to make sure that where you are having profit is still relevant for the marketplace. So maybe even survey your existing customers. But customers change. Customer behavior has shifted significantly since COVID. And customers have more options in choice. And so day to day may be saying one thing, but in order to be ready for opportunity that could present itself, and potentially maybe one product or service you do may no longer be a need to a specific customer, you're able to know what opportunities could await you. There are large companies, I think, that can sit in the fact that, like Apple and things like that, they can sit in the fact that they have products that have around the world people want. But for a solopreneur, it's good to have a variety of services that meet specific customer needs in order to have a sustainable business. You don't ever want to get comfortable. Always go into your business plan and your P&L until you've gotten to a point where, again, you've grown to a stage that from revenue, always track the revenue, not always depend on the product and service being the sustainable thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, Nimaj, and from your perspective, I have employees, I have a small group of people. We've been working from home every day, and all of a sudden, you're asking me to go into the office like 2 or 3 days a week. I don't want to. What do you tell that business owner who's grappling with how do they find that balance between getting their employees who are used to working from home now because of the pandemic and trying to get them back into the office?
I think honest conversation has to happen around productivity. Being able to meet the business objectives. So talking to your employees, of course, it's good to find out what their pain points are, what are the reasons why they value working from home, and if there's anything that, we can do to possibly encourage maybe more moving into a hybrid type perspective, as a lot of companies have done. But some things just work better in office. And those may just be difficult conversations or things that have to happen to be able to move forward. So yes, it might be a change that may be temporary as a lot of the world shifted from working from home during the pandemic and things, and we get used to it and we get comfortable with it. But at the end of the day, the business has to be able to, meet its goals, meet its objectives, and sometimes that in-office work environment is just necessary for what we do. I'll give you an example, even at Detroit Development Fund. We're a very small team, 10, 12 of us, including leadership. For us, everything that we do as individuals greatly impacts the next person. I'm not sure how that would work if we all worked remotely and came into the office one day a week. So ultimately, making sure as business owners that you have the right people in the right positions who share in the mission and the direction the business is going is ultimately how you continue to grow and get to where you need
How
to be.
many of you thought it was a challenge to get up this morning? You found out this was going to be face-to-face. What was your first reaction? Be honest with me. Somebody was happy. Who's that talking? Oh, okay. You like face-to-face? Anybody else? Well, I didn't understand you. I'm talking face-to-face. Face-to-face. How about anybody else? How did you feel coming in? Now, and then when you got down here and you saw other people, how did you feel? Yeah. Go ahead, Michelle.
We spend too much time virtually on meetings, and it's so easy to be distracted. So to be able to come somewhere and meet face to face is refreshing, and it's helpful to be able to engage with others and hear what people have to say, and not worry about an internet connection going out.
Very good.
Or the dog barking.
Go ahead, Juliana.
The dog barking.
Oh, yeah, I think, it's awesome. I felt the same way. But I would tell you, I feed off of other people. I feed off of people. I get ideas when I talk to people. And I think as we talk about embracing change, Juliana, I want to come over to you. You heard of people's responses. Some are happy to react face-to-face. But from a Fifth Third perspective, I know there's been a lot of change, however you want to define change. But how do you measure success? So a lot of times you implement something that's different to whatever it might be, some type of change. How does Fifth Third measure the impact of that change, whatever the change might be?
Right. Well, we use several tools. We have employee insights, which are open dialogues that employees are invited to share ideas. We have, and I see Gina looking at me now, get this right, girl, right? We have opportunities to have conversations monthly with our corporate CEO, Tim Spence, from Cincinnati, where he sits down and literally has fireside chats with employees. How else do we do that? We have employee surveys annually. Those surveys are submitted once a year, and then we really take that data and go back to the managers and share what are some important takeaways. Again, Fifth Third's mission is to keep customers at the center, but we also care deeply about our employees. So we need to measure not only what their commitment is or what our commitment is to the organization and understand what that means.
And Regina, start with Build Institute. You work with people who are starting a business and some who've been in business for a while. Talk about the same idea. Entrepreneurs are not necessarily sure, they may not be sure, how do I measure the impact? What are some of the things I need to measure if I introduce something that's different for the organization? What do you advise your clients to do?
First, with any change, and for example, we serve entrepreneurs, we serve you. We're going to ask the entrepreneurs first. Before we implement a change that we, based on data we might have seen or gut assumptions from our experiences, we're going to ask entrepreneurs. So ask your customer first, what do they think about the change? And based on that feedback, iterate, implement, keep them in the conversation. Also, then you talk to your employees, right? And based on that, you get their buy-in. because ultimately the employees are the one who have to execute the work or the change. So making sure that people are a part of the change process, it takes time to have those conversations, but it's important because that will lead to the sustainability and the success of the launch, quite frankly. So the latter part of the question, if you could restate that, because
Just talking about, how do you measure change?
we measure change, and the most important way to us is the feedback from the entrepreneurs we serve, period. And so for small businesses and solopreneurs, feedback from your customers, quite frankly, whether you have a quick question you ask them at the register or online, get their feedback. That's the most significant way we validate impact by the voices that give us feedback.
Let me pause for a second before we wrap up. Anybody, I'll open the floor for one or two questions, if you like. Okay, if not, I'm going to give our panelists 1 minute each to wrap up and just say, focus on anything that you want to focus, any parting advice. We got a question? Okay. Well, hold on. I love that sweater, man.
Thank you.
All right.
One of the things, I run into a lot of people, and you have what you call creative side people like starving artists. Starving artists is not concerned about dotting their I's and crossing their T's. I run across people who got some great ideas, but they're not doing those things, and they're not really looking at coming to you all to make things happen, but they're out there. How do you reach some of them?
Well, I think a good start would be to leverage the network that we have in Detroit with our business support organizations like Build Institute, like several other groups that can really help work with these style of entrepreneurs and get them focused. Because without focus, you don't know where you're going to go. So being able to use those resources is a good point and a great starting point for most, I would say, in general.
I got time for two more questions. There was somebody over here, though. All right, go for it.
Yes. I started mine at home on business. I got my website. I got my accountants. I got my advertising golf course. But I think I need some investment to buy my products. I have everything all set up. I need to get my products out there.
So marketing, right, a strategy behind that. Whether it is TV, media, whether it is kicker cards being mailed out, you have to have a strategy behind it. And I would say to everybody, because I always hear people like, I got a website, I got a billboard. When you're starting your business, one of the line items that must be there is for marketing, communications, and promotion, period. You have to invest in making sure your message is getting to the customer that you want. So you have to have the strategy to get to the people. Sometimes it means door to door. Sometimes it means going to churches. Whatever it is, you got to go where your customers are.
Okay, my first month, I was 0% of customers, right? In 3 months, I was 63,000. Still, I had no problem to get to it.
Can I offer a suggestion? I could. I don't want to get to too much of a tactical conversation here, but I would encourage you to reach out directly to Regina and Campbell. And she has an entire team, and her team is here, and they can help you walk through the process of what you need to do in order to help you begin to focus on building your clientele, get the marketing strategy out. One thing I will say is based on my personal experience, is marketing, an integrated marketing communications strategy is essential. Now that's my professor coming out, right? That's that technical talk. What does that mean? Hey man, figure out how to communicate with people, period. One of the things I think I've been able to do, I go places in this city and people stop me all the time. They say, Mark, I feel like I know you. I see you everywhere. People assume that I have a significant marketing budget. How many of you, right? I was at CBS last night and somebody comes up to me as I get off the air and they said, man, I just saw you yesterday on Fox 2 News. I'm driving in this morning, here's my voice on WWJ. I said, when did I do that interview? Right? So my point is, I get passionate about it because I'm a trained marketer. Okay? I was a CMO for some legendary brands. So I will always challenge my team to figure out how to get my organization out there. So myself as an entrepreneur is I will work with somebody like Regina and Campbell, Nimaj, someone within Regina over at Fifth Third Bank, and get advice and counsel. Is that fair? All right. So let's take 1 minute each. And to wrap up, we're going to take a break. And then we're going to come back with a fireside chat with someone you might know of. Regina and Campbell.
Just real quickly, Build Institute, buildinstitute.org. Reach out to us. As you said, nobody can do anything alone, and we're here to help you with that. Embrace the change. We have not because we ask not. Step out there. Go on your phones. There's plenty of resources in Detroit Capital ready for you. You just have to lean in, find it online, and reach back.
All right. So again, Detroit Development Fund. So there is capital out here. There is capital that is affordable, and there are lenders and institutions that understand the business community of Detroit. So just keep that on the forefront. Definitely contact myself and my team. You can check our website and things of that nature. But you'll see me, you'll see us out in the community, and we look forward to really helping you guys get there.
Yeah, so from the east side of Detroit, where we have focused on the G7 community near 7 Mile and Gratiot to Ann Arbor, Fifth Third is committed to supporting small business owners with both financing and resources for technical experience. I think what you'll find is that we're a very large bank, but locally we're focused and we're on the ground doing the work. From the branches that you'll find throughout Southeast Michigan, where they're able to provide up to $500,000 in financing, to someone within my business banking group and even our large corporate team members. We're committed to finding the right customer and giving them what they need to grow. However, it is up to you to also help us understand your story. When we ask questions, please find the answers. And if it's not what you think we want to hear, just give us what the answer is, and we'll help you get redirected. So if it's somewhere where you need to go, where you're still building your business, Build Institute, or where you're an entrepreneur in Detroit, where your lending needs are $250 or under, and you have a story, and it's not all about looking at your personal credit history, go to DDF. If you are a more established business, 2 years, Fifth Third Bank also has a solution that is a line of credit that's driven by your personal credit score. I heard a uh-oh. Again, we have resources to help you there. Ultimately, you have to be honest in what you're bringing to the table. Be strategic in where you want to go.
All right, thank you. Before we wrap up, I want to just give a shout out to Fifth Third real quick for one reason. Talk about embracing change. They've invested in 7 Mile and Gratiot. If you get a chance to go over and check out the neighborhood and see a tangible result of embracing change. I see Gina Carrier there. I know Tanya Rose. I've seen them all over social media. They've done a heck of a job in Juliana Parish. I want to make sure I acknowledge their hard work in the neighborhood as well. All right, let's give a round of applause to Juliana Perry.